Here we are with Dave Althelman. We're going to talk today about Krug's new healthcare and other healthcare pieces from Krug.
Welcome to Krug NeoCon 2017. We're at the stage now where we're bringing Farron to market. It's been a couple of years of getting really important feedback. We've had that feedback, we've taken it into account, and we're very excited about bringing this product line to market now. As those of you who are familiar with Krug Healthcare know, in the guest and patient category, we started with the Jordan, which was an award winner actually 10 years ago at NeoCon. From there, we moved to Solus, the metal baseline, then Cressida, which is a hybrid combination of wood and metal. Today, you're seeing Farron. Farron comes with many of the characteristics that we have been so successful with in Jordan and Solus. We have the same seating configurations, 21-inch chairs, on the other side of the room 24, bariatric at 30 and 44. One of the most important elements of the success of some of the previous lines was incorporated here, and that's the sinuous steel spring construction. It results in just a tremendously comfortable sit, and as we know, comfort for a person who's not feeling particularly well, waiting is a very important consideration. So we've certainly accomplished that. The aesthetic, I leave to you to decide, but we are getting just tremendous response on the aesthetic. Beyond the aesthetic, let's think about the functionality. A good example is our solid surface arms. In the past couple of years, there's been more and more demand from the design community for entering solid surface into our healthcare configurations. Here we've gone further, and rather than just a solid surface cap, which in fact is available as an option, there's a possibility of going to a completely solid surface arm. Of course, it could be wood, it could be urethane capped, and as I say, just a solid surface cap. Let's move to the table. There's a complementing table series. In addition to the freestanding tables, which you see here in a solid surface top, but of course would come with other tops as possibilities, we would also have the inline tables in this series. Let's move over to the Farron Lounge. This is a complementing piece that ties in with the guest and patient seating. Very comfortable. And something that's somewhat exceptional in this series, all of our lounge pieces to date have come with a single back. In this series, I'm going to take you over and show you a high back version of the Jordan Lounge. This is the first time we've had two different back heights in a lounge series, and the response we've had at the show is really quite positive. Now we'll moving from a patient waiting area or possibly family member waiting area, we're going to move into an infusion area. So there are obviously a number of types of infusion. One that we're highlighting here is chemotherapy. We have the case goods that are appropriate for a chemotherapy setting. In particular, this is called the Tranquility. You see the patient divider, the combination nurse's station, and entertainment unit for the patient. And behind, we see a storage locker for coats, boots, purses, and some overflow seating space. If you are accompanied by a family member or a friend, a spot for that person to sit. In the front of the unit, and I should say that although these are outlined in brochures, in a brochure and a price list, almost every one we have done has been custom made to the requirements of that facility. So we're happy to understand the dimensions, the configurations that someone wants, and we'll work to those. Looking at the inside, you can see that we've tried to make it as comfortable as we possibly can for the patient. Chemotherapy is a process that could go 2 to 6 hours. So let's maximize the comfort of the patient. Let the patient decide whether they want to watch TV, read a magazine, plug in an iPad, work on their computer. Give them all of that possibility. One of the most important features of this configuration is something that we learned in understanding the needs of chemo patients. One day that patient might come in and feel it's the worst day of their life. Please start the IV, put a blanket on me, and leave me alone. In that case, they want privacy. Perhaps 2 days later, they come in with a slightly different outlook and recognize that the person beside them is actually going through exactly the same thing that they are, and they mutually agree to slide open the dividers and be able to share their stories, feeling that that could be somewhat therapeutic to them. I said that we're totally open to customization. Frequently, nursing staffs have preferred to have this front end, the nursing side, wide open. Then they might bring a stool in here, a computer up above, and use this as charting. Let's turn and look at the Karma. Karma was introduced a couple of years ago. It's been an absolutely fantastic product for us. This is a product that can be used throughout a hospital, in an exam room, a situation like this. It could be used in cafeterias, in meeting rooms. The application is tremendously broad. The line, the Karma line, comes at 18.5 inches between the arms, 22 inches, which you see on the other side of the room, and we have a bariatric size at 26 inches. Even the smallest unit is rated at 500 pounds. Many of our competitors, when asked for a wall-saving leg, charge $40 upcharge, bend the back leg to make it ugly, and then they say you've now got your wall saver. With us, we have the wall saver automatically built in at no upcharge as a sleek component of the chair. The chair is extremely well constructed. It can be stacked. Have a look at the underside and how well finished it is. As a matter of fact, with this chair, we can even go to behavioral health applications. The arm is one of the most distinctive features in the chair, and compare that to many of the others on the market today that look as if, and in fact were, developed a decade or more ago. Here we have a very graceful arm. The chair also stacks, and it's available armless. Now we're moving into a patient room. We're showing two different sleep solutions here. In fact, Krug now has 5 different sleep solutions. This is a side opening sleeper. Frankly, it's not frequently specified, but occasionally the room configuration dictates that this is the floor print that's required. So in this case, we go from the 2-seat lounge very easily into a sleep solution. The process, and you can see that we can even build in storage below. The process here is this seat cushion flips over and the top seat cushion flips out, creating a sleep surface. We talked a few minutes ago about Farron. We saw it in a multiple seating example. But let's look at some of the individual pieces and how they could work into other applications in the hospital, in particular in the patient room. So here we see a guest piece. I talked earlier about the solid surface arm. Here you see a solid surface arm cap. You'll note that this one's a little wider. That is the 24-inch chair. On this side, you're seeing the patient back. But as well, in this case, it is our flex back. So note the amount of travel. Originally, we developed this thinking that in situations such as behavioral health, where a person might have a certain level of anxiety, the rocking motion would be a helpful feature to build in. In fact, there are many people throughout a hospital who feel anxiety, and there's wide application for this ability to rock. Not to mention, for an older patient or visitor, it certainly helps in being able to get out of that chair. The bedside table, which you see here, and the head wall behind it, is part of our case goods offering. So in our bedside offering, or case goods offering, we've tried to make it as flexible and as broad a line as we possibly could. Not just in terms of configurations of many different bedsides, dressers, wardrobes and so on. But even whether you want a contemporary look, a transitional look, or a traditional look, you can configure it in the way you want. We give you probably 8 or 10 different pull options. Here's a very large pull, which could be opened with a knuckle, satisfying ADA requirements. We might have an inset pull, which would be more appropriate if the issue is bruising of nurses' hips, or in a behavioral health application. We might have a more transitional or traditional looking pull. The faces of the drawers and doors can be moved from just a very straight contemporary look to a transitional or traditional look, and similarly the tops. This unit, the Juno, sits on legs. That's one of the options, but not a requirement. You might prefer to do something other than that. In this case, the top is a solid surface top with a spill guard edge, drip edge built into it. On top, we're displaying our new line of solid surface materials. I mentioned that this is growing, so we've now moved beyond white as a standard. We've always done others as options, but now we've broadened our standard line. This is one of my favorite pieces to show in this show. Everyone is familiar with our Emilio sleeper. The Emilio sleeper has been in the line for about 4 years. I won't go through that function, but basically the back folds over and we went from a lounge piece to a sleep surface. And that's been a great product for us. Here we've enhanced that and made a modular unit. You can see a table in the middle. This could be sitting down at the seat height. Here you see it at the higher level, and it's very big. It's big enough, in fact, for 2 adults to be sitting at the table, eating, playing cards, as they visit with their loved one. You'll appreciate that this is going to be a sitting surface for some people, certainly not the intent, but we recognize the reality in a healthcare environment, and this is built to support 300 pounds. Putting power and USB below is one of the standard options. The modules on the other side can be configured the way you want. It could be just a solid seat. In this case, there's storage below. On the other side, and this is one of my favorites, we've built in an ottoman. If you want an ottoman on one side, both sides, or neither, it's the way you would like to configure it. Of course, a variety of different arm caps available, different sizes available. I think this has become one of the most versatile sleep solutions that you could possibly specify. In addition to that, in my mind, it's the safest solution that can be specified, because any other sleep unit changes its footprint in the patient room when it moves to a sleep position. There's danger in that. In the middle of the night, there's an emergency, and the nurse is losing that 1 or 2 seconds trying to figure out where the unit is and how it's sitting on the floor. In this case, the footprint has not changed at all when it's gone to the sleep solution, so a very important feature there. I didn't mention as we were coming through, but Krug is very pleased with the fact that we've won a number of Nightingale Awards in the last few years. Nightingales, for those who aren't as familiar, are the highest recognition that's awarded for products in the healthcare category. There are many other awards, such as Best of Neocon, and those are actually given out in the dozens annually. In the case of Nightingale Awards, the furniture awards might be as few as 3 or 4 in a given year. This was one of those award winners. This is our bench sleeper. Easy to pull out. Again, the possibility of putting storage below, and a very easy conversion into a sleep surface. We first showed this a year or 2 ago at Neocon. We received the feedback, and we made some minor improvements, but those improvements are critical to having a successful product. As an example, there was a tendency for this to bounce open an inch or so. Now we've got a small indentation to hold it in place. We were asked to add a back as an option. You don't need a back, but it's there optionally. You can add arms optionally. So you can go further than we originally were suggesting. This unit is only 24 inches deep. I mentioned 5 different sleep solutions. this is an example of being able to offer the requirement that satisfies the need in a particular situation. Rooms get smaller and smaller, and often there isn't space for a sleep solution. Here, at only 24 inches, it almost always fits in. Let's move to behavioral health. The key aspect of behavioral health is the product must be the safest, most robust product you've ever built, but it can't look like it. As a matter of fact, going back in time, not that many years, behavioral health product looked like behavioral health product. And that was flying in the face of what the clinicians were trying to accomplish. The clinicians are working with those patients, bringing them back to closer to a reality that says where they might feel abnormal, in fact, they're not that far off and they need to feel normal. Put them in an environment where the furniture makes them look as if they have a problem. You're working against the clinician. Krug recognized that. We elected to work with our standard products, our Zola, our Solus, and develop behavioral health applications in these products, but starting with a beautiful product. This Zola could be sold to a bank. It's a beautiful chair, yet it satisfies behavioral health requirements. It doesn't have legs on it, a subtle difference, but legs aren't appropriate in a behavioral health application. The fitments in it are tamper resistant. That's important, but that can't be seen. By the way, I say tamper resistant and not tamper proof because some of the patients are 24/7 trying to tamper. So we all have to appreciate there's vulnerability. We have to do the best we possibly can to slow them down and protect them. Here's another not obvious feature, but there's no room to hide substances or weapons in the side, so we can ask that it be sewn that way. As a matter of fact, what our approach is we build in several standard features, tamper-resistant fitments as an example, lack of legs as another, and beyond that, we offer a menu of options. Here's the option, here's the risk that is mitigated. Then the clinical people can decide, yes, I'd like to weight the chair. Or perhaps they recognize that a heavily weighted chair is going to lead to back injuries among their staff, and they're prepared to take that risk. That's their choice. Our responsibility is to bring to them those options and make sure they're considering each of those variables. Let's move to Solus. Concept is exactly the same. The only feature here that is even evident that is working towards behavioral health is the sled base, but there are many chairs with sled bases, so that is not a real negative as a patient comes into a room. As a matter of fact, they're not going to recognize at all that was there because it's a behavioral health chair. Of course, the reason for doing that is if you pick up a chair with 4 legs, you've got a dagger on the end or a pointer on the end, so the sled base is preventing that. It's also providing the opportunity to bolt the chair to the floor, as an example. Finally, we've got the tables. So you can see the soft edge on the table. You can see that the legs have been eliminated and it's a solid base. Now, here's a good example of behavioral health. It's absolutely critical that this table either be bolted to the floor or heavily weighted, because otherwise, turn it on its side and let it roll, and you've got a real problem. So each of those things has to be brought to the attention of the clinicians, and we work with you to make sure you've got the appropriate solution.